Hello, Internet, and welcome to my review for Sword Art Online Alicization, episode 15. When we last left our heroes, they had gotten their weapons back from the armory and had a kick-ass fight with Dusselbert Synthesis 7 that ended with Eugeo learning that Dusselbert, or remembering that Dusselbert was the knight who had taken Alice and nearly killing Dusselbert before Kirito talked him out of it. Though that darkness and hatred will come back again into play in this episode. And as our heroes continue up the stairs, they have a talk about their weapon arts, where they encounter two totally innocent preteen girls. And they're so nice that Kirito and Eugeo forget the first rule of, well, life in general. Never trust preteens. They are always looking for a reason to stab you in the back. As someone who has worked with preteens the past 2 summers, every preteen I've ever met has wanted to stab me in the back. It's a simple fact. All preteens are dicks. Every last one of them. But for real though, the twist is so, genuinely out of left field. At no point is the scene played sinisterly at all, that it just works really well. I have no complaints from me on the two of them. So anyway, after our intrepid heroes are, poisoned by Zel and Nel, I know they have first syllables, but I can't remember them, and they call each other Zel and Nel, so, I'm gonna call them that. Zel and Nel drag Kirito and Eugeo up to the 50th floor, so that the Integrity Knight there, whose name we eventually learn is Fanatio, I think it is, can watch them kill Kirito and Eugeo so they can become Integrity Knights. But on the way up, given that Kirito and Eugeo are most definitely going to die, totally, they're absolutely dead right here. No way they could ever come back from this. Zel and Nel tell them their backstory, which is as fascinating as it is horrifying. The horrifying part is obvious enough, Quinella's forcing kids to kill each other over and over again just to bring them back each time, if they're lucky. What's fascinating, though, is that Zel and Nel are Integrity Knights, who are well aware that Integrity Knights don't come from the heavens. This whole system's in place only because Quinella has successfully convinced the Integrity Knights that they're immortal super beings from outer space or whatever. But here are Zel and Nel, who are aware that they were originally humans who became Integrity Knights through the patronage of Quinella. So, which raises the question, why would Quinella do this at all? What does she gain out of having these two kids be Integrity Knights? Her whole, is she getting, soft in her old age or something? Because everything she did for the first, 80 years of her life or so was entirely to, keep her hold on power. And these two kind of represent a thorn in her quest for more power. So I don't know how she's going to handle that. Maybe she's got some kind of plan for the two of them. They're going to have some larger role in Quinella's schemes. I don't know. That remains to be seen. Also, there are some art style changes whenever we see the effects of the resurrection research, and that is super cool. They just look so neat. Also, their backstory implies they've only been Integrity Knights for 2 years, right? They say, the two of them say that they've spent the past 2 years studying sacred arts and all the stuff they need to be Integrity Knights. So, why are their numbers... So, their numbers are lower than Alice's. They're 28 and 29, and Alice's synthesis 30. And so far, I've been acting under the assumption that, that's what order they became an Integrity Knight. So, Fanatio, who's synthesis 2, is, the second oldest Integrity Knight. Which would also explain why, she's so... We see the little glimpses we get of her backstory are so, characterized by misogyny, and a kind of disrespect for women fighters that we didn't really see with Lena, or even with, kind of with Ronnie and Tisei, given what Rios and Humbert did to them. But even then, that was not based in their skills as swordswomen. I'm not gonna talk about that. Anyway, but with Lena, we don't see... Lena's never really, looked down on for being a woman. But Fanatio seems to be very much a part of her backstory, that she was at some point. Also, Integrity Knights shouldn't really be remembering their past lives, so maybe it's another Integrity Knight who thinks that? I don't know. There's a whole lot of questions Fanatio brings up. But anyway, on to my point in general. Sorry, my ADD meds were off hours ago, so you're stuck with Rambling Gracer tonight. Anyway, so their numbers are lower, so they're probably older members of the Integrity Knights. But what's up with that? Because Alice was taken from Rulid like 7 years ago at this point. And Nel and Zel have only been Integrity Knights for 2 years. Maybe Alice was held captive for a few years before becoming an Integrity Knight. It would explain why she's so much older when Integrity Knights are have their lives frozen so they can live forever. Also, if at least 4 Integrity Knights came around in the last 2 years or so, Nel, Zel, Alice, and Eldry, who's Synthesis 31, why are there only 31? If 2 years gives us 4 Integrity Knights have been around for around like 300 years or so, right? So shouldn't there be a lot of them? They can't all be dying that frequently. That doesn't seem to fit in. But anyway, we don't get any answer to that. But Zel and Nel arrive at the 50th floor where Fanatio and the 4 Whirling Blades are waiting. And they drop Kirito and Eugeo off, and they say something along the lines of, these two must really be a threat if the Senate decided to send in Fanatio. A Senate? And Fanatio later on makes some reference to the Prime Senator. And Quinella's whole thing, she's like desperately clinging on to power with using everything she has in her command to like cling on to power. Why would she share that power with the Senate? With a Senate? I mean, presumably they're just like puppet figures, but the world is so slaves to Fanatio's, not to Fanatio's will, to Quinella's will, that they don't particularly need, that I don't think Quinella would really need to, like, pretend to share the power. You know, it's not like the Imperial Senate of, like, Star Wars, where, you know, presumably for a little while, Palpatine needed to, like, pretend he was still somewhat of the people, and they still had something like a voice until Episode 4 comes around, and he's like, actually, fuck that shit. But that's another video altogether. But anyway, we don't get any answers. We do not get any answers on that either. But Kirito just gets up and, like, poisons Zel and Nel. And so I actually do really like this, because Kirito actually, like, used logic to figure out they were Integrity Knights. It's not just Kirito super badass and can do whatever, that SAO is quite infamous for kind of engaging in the past, but, like, he explains it to us, and looking back, oh yeah, if they were just regular, like, sisters in training, why would they be able to, like, disobey an order from Quinella? Because Quinella is the taboo index, so shouldn't, like, disobeying her be disobeying the taboo index? So the fact they're able to disobey her means they're separate from the system. The fact he's able to figure out they were going to poison him is less smart, given that there was no way we could know about the Ruby Onyx, and how it was the only thing that didn't work against a specific type of poison. But you know what? At least there was the information for us to figure out they were Integrity Knights. That information was there, it just was not obvious. But like looking back on it, oh yeah, that makes sense. But anyway, Kirito leaves them to be poisoned and paralyzed. He does not kill them, of course, because he's Kirito. And then he goes to fight the 4 Whirling Blades. And holy shit, that spinning camera. Oh god, the animation on the bit where like fights the 4 of them in like fairly quick succession. Oh, holy shit. Oh, god damn. God damn. Ugh. Yeah, the animation there was fucking gorgeous. The animation for a good chunk of the Fanatio fight is fucking gorgeous. There is one part, though, where I think it's either right before or right after. It's right after, because Fanatio does not use her sword until after the helmet comes off. So it's right after the helmet comes off. They're like going at it with their swords, and for the first part of the Fanatio fight, the sword work and the footwork is all really cool. And there's a bit where they stand perfectly still and just like whack their swords at each other. You know, there's a bit where we get a close up with Kirito and then Fanatio, and it doesn't even look like their bodies are moving. We just like, or their arms at all. It feels like they're just like swords like hovering around each other, and it's really weird, and it's so much worse than everything around it. Anyway, now we need to talk about Fanatio and her relationship with her gender, or at the very least, Kirito's relationship to her gender. So I was a little worried they would have Kirito make a big deal over Fanatio being a woman, primarily because there's this line in Book 10 that thankfully the anime got rid of, whereas as Kirito and Eugeo are going to fight in the tournament in Zakaria, Kirito says something along the lines of, "Oh no, what if we have to fight a girl? I don't know if I can fight a girl." And it would be bad enough, given that it's like very much out of character for Kirito, if he only said it the once. But when the story cuts 2 years later, with him training with Lina, the first thing that comes up, before it even introduces that he's training with Lina, is like, remember that time Kirito said, "Oh no, what if I have to fight a girl?" Well, guess what? Now he's training under one. And it's just a really out of character moment. Because, like, Kirito is surrounded by powerful women. It's a meme how many women Kirito is surrounded by, and almost all of them are super powerful. You know, you got Asuna, you got Sinon, you got Lipa, I guess, you got Lisbeth, I'm sure, you got Silica, okay, not Silica, but also you got Yuki. You know, he lost to Yuki. Remember? Back, like, right before Mother's Rosario started, he lost to Yuki. So the idea the books bring up that Kirito would, like, feel bad about fighting a girl and, like, in, like, combat, in a duel, is so out of character that I'm really glad the anime is like, yeah, that's out of character. We're having none of that. So good shit for the anime. Yeah, good shit there. So anyway, after that, we finally see, after that, and we get a bit of swordplay from Kirito and Fanatio, we finally see Eugeo's perfect weapon art that he was worried about last week. And what the hell was he talking about? Last week, Eugeo was all, "Oh no, my perfect weapon art isn't strong or suited for combat." Holy shit, it's suited for combat. He freezes the four whirling blades like that. He nearly gets Fanatio. Like that. Synthesis 2! Like that! What the hell are you talking about, Eugeo? Your perfect weapon art is awesome. Also, as his hatred starts to consume him while he's like controlling Fanatio, and it's kind of like bringing his concentration on the weapon and like on the whole thing in general, we do get to see more of the darkness that we kind of saw gripping Eugeo last week after the fight with Dusselbert, before Kirito once again snaps him out of it. And with this, it's been brought up twice now, and Kirito has barely snapped him out of it twice. And so I definitely feel like this is the plot thread that's just going to grow and grow as the arc goes on, before blowing up in some big way later on. I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe Eugeo will finally snap and just like kill Integrity Knight right then and there. You know, maybe it'll be Quinella. I don't know. I think Quinella's a tad too big for Kirito not to handle her. But anyway, we'll see what comes of that later on. But then the episode ends right before we get to see what Kirito's perfect weapon art is. So that's a shame. But yeah, we see him selling enhanced armament, and the episode cuts out. So yeah, in case you cannot tell from my voice, my excitement level, this episode was a treat. And I feel like, I said that last week too, I don't know if I used the exact words, but you know, the heart of it. And I feel like I'll be saying that the whole way up the tower. From Zel and Nel's stellar deception, to their fascinating and horrifying backstory, to a fun fight with Fanatio, to Eugeo's kick-ass perfect weapon art, to almost getting to see Kirito's. Fuck yes! This episode was great. No complaints from me this time. Next time, we have the end of the Fanatio fight. So yeah, I'm gonna leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the episode and the video. If you did, feel free to drop me a like, or subscribe, or, you know, do whatever the fuck you want. And remember, people, never trust preteens. Bye!